We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Today is my day.
Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful episode of Talk Your Way to More Business, or Speak Up Your Book, or Talk Up Your Business, Speak Your Way to More Profits. We have so many shows going on and so many things happening. It's Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. And I'm Susan Levin from Speaker Services, and my co-host is
Jean Noel Bassior.
And we're so happy that you're with us today at the end of this month. And today we have two wonderful guests we'd like to tell you about who we'll be talking to in a little while. We have Dr. PattyMalone and we have Ashley Arn with us. And we'll be chatting with them in about 20 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We're happy, again, that you're with us, and we want to tell you what's been going on at Speaker Services and in our lives and where we've been and traveled and what's going on in the industry. Jean Noel, do you have something to share with us today?
Well, actually, two things. I love this story that you found.
Which one?
This is by Nick Morgan, and it appeared in Forbes online magazine. I find this a really funny story, but it's very useful to speakers. This is about the choreography of the room that you speak in.
The dance.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what I thought it was. But actually what it's really about is I love this. He calls it the PowerPoint triangle of death. Now, what he means by that is I've always hated PowerPoint presentations. I can't stand them. And this guy agrees with me, because if you're speaking before an audience and you've got a PowerPoint presentation, so part of the time you're facing your computer trying to figure out what to do there, or then you're looking up at the screen and seeing what's going on there because you got to read the cues from the screen. And so it creates this triangle where you're not quite facing the audience. And so the audience doesn't feel connected to you. And I think that is why I hate PowerPoint. Plus, there are those stock people that are usually in the PowerPoint presentation, those happy people that are just happy about everything.
Oh,
and
the images,
The images, they love life. And they're on the Adobe Flash things too, and they come up on websites. And so I can't stand those either.
So that's one of the things that we talk about when we're coaching people all the time. And that's something that Patty's going to be talking about, because she's a communication trainer.
Yeah.
And she has a lot more to say about it. But you're right about PowerPoint, because people are looking in their computer or down below, and you see the top of their head. And connection is so important. If you don't have the connection with the audience, you're missing out on a lot.
Right.
And we mention this almost every week. Well, one of the other things that he talks about in this article is that you need to get there ahead of time. And a lot of people just run in to the presentation and think everything's going to be set up exactly the way that they want it to be set up. And there are different ways that work better for the room. You can send in advance, by the way, to the event planner and tell them what your preference is for the setup of the room. But one of the ways that he suggests is that you can have a U shape. And that's what we had when we spoke in, where were we, in Newport Beach?
Right.
We had that.
Yeah.
And you can then see most of the people that way. And if you have a screen behind you and you are showing your own desktop or websites and you're speaking to the side, at least they can see it and they can see you as well. And you can walk around the room that way also.
Mm-hmm. And he goes into the kind of spaces, like how far away should you be from the audience? I found this really interesting.
Yeah.
He breaks it down actually into 4 kinds of space. So he has public space. If you're speaking to a group, the public space is 12 feet plus from the front row. And then there's the social space. This is 4 to 12 feet. Now, he says where you really want to be is to move into what he calls the personal space, which is 1.5 to 4 feet. If you've got a tape measure with you and you can estimate that. But he says that once you move into that personal space, that the audience really perks up. Something happens in their brain and they snap awake and they're really with you. Now, you want to stop short You don't want to move closer than that because then you're in intimate space, and that's where you don't go with an audience. But he says a very interesting thing. It's like if you're speaking to a large group, how are you going to get into this personal space with a lot of people? And he talks about how if you target, like, say, 2 or 3 people in the audience and move into their personal space, something clicks on in the brains of the rest of the people, and they feel as if you've moved into their space. And I found that really interesting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And he also talks about body language, too,
yeah,
which I found to be very interesting. I posted this article around on social media and to all the various groups that I belong to, and people gave me such a great response to it. They said, thank you. This is so interesting, the choreographing. How to choreograph your presentation. So if anybody's interested, just email me, susan@speakerservices.com, and I will direct you to the whole post because there's a lot more in it. And I think what the bottom line there was that good choreography is the quickest way to raise your speaking up a level from mediocre, everyday, and average to memorable and world changing. So practice making your moves while talking and smiling at the same time. You'll be richly rewarded with positive audience feedback. Audiences today crave a connection with their speakers, and this is the best way to give it to them. Really, great post, and I'm happy that I found it. So moving on to something else, this past Thursday and Friday, I was at, and we talked about this too, Sales Coach Now Live 2013 with Ursula Menchez, and her topic was about selling with synchronicity. And if you have heard her on our show earlier in March, she talks about the book Selling with Synchronicity, and it came from, she created the book, and it has 7 different shifts in it, how you can sell with synchronicity. And it came out of a mastermind group that she had for a year. So she invited each person who was in the class to be on a panel to talk about their experiences as they made the different shifts. And it was very interesting. She's so inclusive. She includes everybody. And I love the way that she presents. And doing these panel things was good, too, because some of these people weren't speakers. So that she was able to interview them. And she created the questions, and her questions were good. So we were exhibitors there, and we met lots of very interesting people. And one of the people that she had there that I was impressed with and will have on the show, hopefully in July, was the man who founded Ugg Boots. And he's Australian, and his name is Brian Smith. And I had the pleasure of hearing him at the VIP luncheon. And I didn't know it that she was interviewing him during lunch. And I was there were round tables, and I was sitting right in front of him. And I fell in love with him. He's so handsome and so charming. And he told a little bit of his story. She interviewed him again, and she challenged him. She said she had met him at a conference a few weeks earlier, one of our other colleagues' conference, Cheryl Roush. And she said to him, I've been looking for a keynote speaker to do my second day at my conference. Would you take the challenge and do it? And he's just coming out with a book now, all about Ugg boots and, in the process. He doesn't own it anymore.
I have to ask, was he wearing Uggs?
No, he wasn't, but he gave a lot of Uggs away. She had a lot of raffles, the original Uggs. So what he talked about was how he got into it, when he was like 29 years old, he was an accountant living in Australia, and he hated the accounting work. And we hear this from lots of people that, one day it's just like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. And he kept looking for a product that he could bring to the States. He's been here 30 years. So he's been through the roller coaster of owning a business, losing this business, getting it back, learning all about sales. And it was also what the main message that I got from it was about connection. He found that if he went into the stores and met with mostly he was going to the surf shops and meeting with the guys there because he found that was his audience. Those people became his clients, and they became very loyal. And he had a great following. And when he got ripped off, when other companies were doing Ugg boots and ripped off his patterns, and people refused to buy from those people, because they were so loyal to Brian Smith.
Yeah, I've noticed that there's a lot of knockoffs of Ugg boots, but they're very different. They don't feel right.
And he sold the business and he said at the end he sold it because he couldn't manage it because it was so huge. It just was so out of hand. Mm-hmm. And he started with $500.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it's a really wonderful story. So hopefully we'll have him with us. And then we met another fellow who you know as well, Mark Romero, who talks about quantum physics, and he integrates it with his music. And people have amazing changes when they listen to his music. And he played the music, and he spoke to us, and we bought some of his CDs, and I've been listening to them, and they help you to relax more. And we're going to get him on the show, too.
And Mark had a challenge in doing his publicity because this show is about talking up your business. And so I did a one-sheet for Mark, actually. And the challenge was he had a picture of his guitar and him. And people thought, looking at the one sheet, even though they were separate, I don't think he had a picture of him playing the guitar, but they thought that he wanted to get gigs and play clubs or parties. And that was the big challenge with creating some of his publicity materials so that he came off as somebody who did transformative music, and that was what he really wanted you to hire him for. And, how do you get that message across was kind of a challenge.
And here's another fact about him. I think you know this. He, too, came from a place where he was working in a corporate environment, making a lot of money and hating it.
Right.
And he just came home one day and said, I can't do this anymore. I need a life. And then he took his expertise and he turned it into a full-fledged business. And that's what this show is all about, is talk up your biz, speak your way to more profits. Use your expertise to grow your business and your speaking practice. And he's out speaking, and he's combining his music with it. And that's what we want for everybody to, recognize what your expertise is and get out there and speak about it. So as a way to grow your business and your income. And he found an interesting way of doing it. Just look, everything's right there that you need. And if you need a little coaching, we can help you. We can take you back. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today, my colleague, Vicki Sullivan, who's also a marketing expert, and she does amazing work, was talking about how to network with prominent people, and it was in an article in raintoday.com. That's a website that I get the information from. And basically what she was saying is she went to a TED event, and instead of running up to people like the old way that people did, oh, I'm Vicki Sullivan, I'm the best in the West, and I can help you with your marketing strategies, and you're the best. She shared the philosophy, which this is the way that I live by, and I know G. Noel does too, is getting to know you. It's about getting to know the person and seeing, reach out first, she says, and then connect first. And she said the lesson that she learned from this is to appeal to the personal first. It's always about, tell me a little bit more about you. Do you have children? When did you start your business? It's the same thing like we talk about when people go to like a chamber meeting and, they just shove their card into your hand, and it could be a plumber, and it's like, here's my card, call me when you're ready, and I'm the best plumber.
Because what's happening now is networking events, many of them are not about kind of working the room and handing out your card and talking about your service right away. In fact, we found that at WRS, which is a local networking organization, where actually they had a rule against going up to somebody and telling that. So what you did instead was you went up to somebody and you said, hi, I'm so-and-so, and what kind of referrals would you like me to give you? So who should I refer you to? So it was all about the other person first.
Right.
And I thought that was an interesting concept.
And sometimes people forgot to ask the other person.
Yeah.
So I have to remind them. Don't you want to hear what I have to say?
Yeah. Actually, me too.
Yeah. So
that's what would happen.
But she's also saying here, Gina, well, just go personal first. Tell me more about you before you tell you about who you are. And then she says, give first. Maybe give them a tip or some advice, and then say, let's explore. And that's exactly what I do. And I did it this weekend at the conference, or the last couple of days. When people came up and they said, we want to know more about what you do. Tell us more. And I said, well, we do speaker marketing. We have an online directory. We do media coaching. We have 2 internet TV shows. And tell me a little bit about what you do. And then there were a lot of people around us. And thank goodness Donna was with us, because I couldn't have done it without her because we were so crowded. And I said, look, I'd like to have a conversation with you. May I call you? And they said, oh, yeah, great. So I wrote on the back of their card, call. And I had 20 leads. And I've already sent out the note to them and said, here are the times that I have available. Let's talk. Let's have a discovery conversation. Let me learn more about you and see if I can assist you in some way. And I'm going to give you some tips and I'm going to give you some advice. And I'm going to also make some suggestions so that they know that you're going to suggest something.
Right. And then you told me this morning that you did something else after that, right?
Okay. Yes. And then I put it around on Facebook and some groups and LinkedIn. And I said, I just finished booking, which wasn't true. It was half truth, all my speaking, my discovery sessions with people. And I have a few appointments open. So if you'd like a complimentary session, and it's a value of $125, it's 30 minutes. And I'm willing to talk to you, email me. And I got about 5 or 6 of those that came from other sources.
And you said that hadn't worked before, right?
It hasn't worked in a long time. It used to work really well when I did it and responded to people on LinkedIn and Facebook and said, if you'd like a complimentary session. But this time it didn't work so great. But today or yesterday it worked, and each day more is coming in. And that's how we get our leads. By making a conversation and saying, hey, let's talk to you. We're just about to close the deal. We talked to you last week about the lady in Israel who found us. And we're going to be working with her to help her to get her business on track, her speaking practice on track. And you'll be hearing more about that in the upcoming weeks. I know we're coming to the end of our time here, and I just wanted to say that next week, I just want to remind everybody, next Monday, 30 minutes after this conversation, we have the book beat, and we'll be talking to 2 authors. We, meaning Jean Noel's doing all the talking, and she's interviewing the people, and we're going to always have a guest expert on, a guest spot who will help you, and I'm going to be the first guest expert. So as we go to break, this is Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits, and it's only on LA Talk Live. So stay tuned. In a couple minutes, we'll be back with Dr. Patty Malone. And what is Patty going to talk to us about?
Well, we're going to, stay tuned, because Patty Malone is a professor at Cal State Fullerton, and she's a former news anchor, and she shows companies how to save millions and increase their profits by avoiding communication breakdowns and mistakes, and find out why NASA lost $300 million because they didn't know the difference between centimeters and inches.
Wow. I can't wait to hear it.
Thank you for tuning into LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original. Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio, R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning.
Welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. I'm Jean Noel Bassior, here with my co-host Susan Levin, and our special guest this segment is Dr. Patty Malone. And your upcoming book is called Backstabbing and Envy in the Workplace, right?
Yes, it is.
And you are a communications specialist and a former TV news anchor.
Correct.
In both Nevada and California, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Two markets, two big markets.
And also a college professor.
Yeah, professor at Cal State Fullerton. And so, backstabbing and envy in the workplace. Do you think that goes on at all?
Oh, no. Nobody knows what that means. No, it is so widespread. When I was doing my research on that, I did it for my dissertation and also for my thesis. I sent out over 1,000 surveys, and everybody had experienced it.
Really?
I think only 4 people said they had never experienced it.
Yeah, because something happens in the workplace, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does.
What is that?
Well, people want to go for the same things. And they have this feeling that there's a scarcity of resources. Maybe 2 people want the same job or a promotion, or maybe they were promised a certain position or a raise after a certain time, and then it goes to somebody else. And people don't like that.
Funny about that.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
It's a lack of having enough, or there's not enough for everybody. It's a competition kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that's how they see it. And a lot of what happens with that is there's this sense of injustice. Something happens and they feel it wasn't fair. They feel maybe the boss is playing favorites. They promoted their friend or somebody that they knew or liked better, or they've been waiting for something for a long time, and then a new person comes in with no experience and hops into that position. And then they feel that wasn't fair. Now, that doesn't give them the right to backstab that person, but that is what happens a lot.
So what do they do? How do they get back?
Oh, they do so many different things. That was one of the areas I was focusing on. They do things like spread rumors, make up lies, lie to the person, lie about the person, withhold information that they need to get things done.
This is like the FBI not talking to the CIA.
Yeah.
Do they slash their tires too?
That's getting more into like physical types of things. And
we did not give out any ideas on this show.
Also, they do things like take credit. That happens a lot. People are upset because they did the work and somebody else took all the credit.
Right. That happened to a friend of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very frequent.
Yeah,
and you deal in miscommunication as well, because about this NASA thing, what happened there? Some people were working with inches, and others were working with centimeters. And
yeah, this is a perfect example of miscommunication, how it can break down in organizations, especially between teams and departments. So one team was measuring in inches, and the other team was measuring in centimeters.
For the Mars probe, right?
Yes, so it cost NASA $300 million more on the Mars probe because of that. A big cost for a small miscommunication, right?
Yeah, miscommunication is a really big issue.
It is, and people don't recognize how bad it is. It's like companies waste $37 billion a year due to miscommunication.
That's staggering.
And 89% of those companies reported reduced productivity the previous year due to miscommunication. 70% of organizational change efforts fail due to miscommunication. And 400 companies reported they'd put their own employees or the public at risk of physical injury due to miscommunication.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. So you go into companies and you straighten this mess out, eh?
I do. I help them prevent breakdowns like that, as well as to fix ones that have already occurred, especially by opening up communication across teams and departments. And it happens so often. One team will do something and have no clue how much it's impacting all these other departments. And then another department will find out about the change from a client or from a customer instead of from within their company.
Yeah.
Either that, or they may do something, they've changed the way a process or policy, so one department turns in a form the way they always have, and then the other department says, oh, we're not doing it that way anymore. We're not accepting it like this. We've changed it. Well, when was somebody going
Just
to
thought
tell
we'd
us?
let you know.
Exactly.
There's this expression where the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Yes.
My grandma used to say that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't think of that in multi-million-dollar corporations. I mean, we kind of assume, like,
Right. But it happens all the time.
How do you find your clients? How do they find you?
Well, it's a combination. I do a lot of speaking. I speak to different groups and organizations and companies. And a lot of times then somebody will bring me into their company to give them a free consultation about potential communication issues, or where they're already having some.
Yeah.
And one good thing, though, is most of these companies recognize communication as a core value, and they realize the importance of it. So they want to fix things before they start getting out of control or before it starts turning into a toxic environment, because that spreads like a disease. It's like typically what will happen is maybe somebody's having a conflict and they'll think, oh, this is just these two people, we'll let them work it out. Well, that's not what's happening. That's just the tip of the iceberg. A lot more is going on underneath. These people try and get people to take sides. Then you start splitting teams and departments. Those people who don't want to take sides don't want to be around those people. They don't even want to go to work. They don't want to be in that kind of an environment. And it just gets worse. It's like a snowball that starts down the hill. Next thing you know, you've got an avalanche and it can just spin out of control.
So what makes them want to talk to you when you go in? What do you do to unravel this whole thing, this mess?
Well, there's a lot of things I do. I will actually go in and I will interview people one-on-one to get a real feel for people from the different departments, find out where the communication breakdowns are, what their concerns are, what they feel like they need help with. I will also listen in on phone meetings if they're having conference calls, and like a fly on the wall, so they don't know that I'm there, and then that way I can notice where the breakdowns are occurring. In fact, I've got a really great example. This one company I was helping, I was listening in to one of these phone meetings, and it was a sales team. And there was one woman who was very excited about this idea she had to increase sales, and she was sharing it with everybody in the conversation. She says, oh, I'm so excited, I got this idea, blah, 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 blah. And then after she gave her idea, the manager said, that's not going to happen. And you could hear a pin drop. It was like dead silence. It was basically like cutting her off at the knees. So she had been really excited. She's probably not going to be volunteering too many more ideas after that. There's a lot of other ways that could have been handled, like, well, let's talk about it more. Where did you get this idea? Why do you think that's a great idea? Start asking questions, or at the very least, if you know it's not going to work, maybe you tried something like that before, to say that. Well, we tried something like that similar before, and it is a good idea, but we found that this didn't work because of this. But to just cut somebody off, like, that's not going to happen. So that's not good communication.
So that has to do with listening skills also,
Absolutely.
Right?
That's very important. People don't listen. In fact, people don't listen 75% of the time.
True.
When we're in conversations, 25% they're focused. The rest of the time they're in their heads. They're thinking about what they're going to say next.
Or they're texting, or they're looking at their email. Gee, Noelle and I have this conversation often. She can hear me typing. Are you on your computer?
Well, you are the world's, she multitasks. She's doing, okay, so now I've accepted. She does 5 things at once whenever I talk with her.
But sometimes you try to emulate me.
Well, I'm learning. I am trying, because I really think that today sometimes you have to multitask. But I digress. So, did your experience as a news anchor help you in this? I mean, how did you get into communication? What?
Good question.
What
Well,
drew you to
actually,
that?
let me tell you about why I got interested in backstabbing. When I started in TV, I decided I wanted to be a TV news anchor. So in my first TV job, before I was an anchor, I was fairly new, I saw two people applying for the same reporter on-camera position. One of them sabotaged the microphone, so when the other person went out, it would ruin their audition tape.
Oh, God.
And I saw that, and I thought, oh my gosh, why are people doing this kind of stuff? And then I went on to become a TV news anchor. And it wasn't all like that. I worked at TV stations that were great. Everybody got along well. We worked hard. We played hard. We were good friends. But there were situations where it was not good. There was a toxic environment. People were out to sabotage each other, trying to get ahead. I'm going to get ahead no matter what. I don't care what the cost is to you. I don't care how it hurts you. That type of thing. So that's how I got interested in that.
Wow. Wow, that's an amazing story.
Now, there was something in the news just recently where a young man, I think it was in Oregon or Washington State, got fired from a weekend anchor position. Did you see that?
No.
Or hear
That
about
was
it?
in Minnesota. I think it was in Minnesota.
It was in
or somewhere.
Minnesota?
Yeah. He didn't know the mic was on. And he was very, very nervous. You're thinking of that story, right?
Where he talked about gay? Something about gay.
Oh, we're thinking of another story.
He made he alluded to something gay, and people got completely offended, and they fired him.
Yeah.
So he turns up on all the news stations. I saw it on NBC, and Matt Lauer was interviewing him. I think it was Matt Lauer on NBC, and it was such great publicity.
Yeah, that was interesting because they turned it around. Actually, he swore. He didn't
swore?
know his mic was on.
Okay.
And so before, the mic was hot, and of course the first rule of broadcasting is, you know what that is.
Yeah, you do not talk when there's any chance.
Always assume the mic is on.
Right. That's not the first time that's happened. There's been many cases of that exact thing.
Did they get
happening.
fired?
Yeah.
I've
heard of that more than once where somebody's gotten fired for that.
So he got fired, but NBC turned it into a plus. Next thing you know, he's on the Today Show, right?
Right.
And he's going to get hired again somewhere, right?
Because the other anchor said, and I suppose, if somebody would want to hire you, they could see you right here and we'll let them know that they can get a hold of you. I thought it was great publicity. Very handsome guy.
Yeah, and
he won't have any
young
problem.
guy.
Yeah.
He what?
He won't have any problem.
No, I don't think so. I like the way he turned it around to his advantage.
So getting back, tell us again, how can people reach you and hire you and
speak for their groups?
Yeah. Right. Okay. I would go to my website, which is www.drpattymalone.com. And the doctor's not spelled out, so it's drpattymalone.com. That's the best way to reach me. And then on the website, you can find phone numbers and email addresses and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And when is your book coming out?
It should be this summer.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And so if someone is experiencing this right now, a backstabbing problem, what's your best advice? What should they do? There's
a couple of things. The first thing is to consider, is there something that they have a legitimate reason to be upset about? Start with that and find out what's going on with them. Ask them questions, talk to them, listen to what they have to say, try and show appreciation for something they're doing right. And I know that sounds hard. It can be challenging because if you're upset they just did something, find out where they're coming from. Now, they may not have a legitimate reason. By legitimate, I mean something that they perceived was like a wrongdoing to them. There are people who just like drama. They like to stir up trouble, or they're just angry and they lash out. And I'm sure we've all experienced being around people like that.
Our producer is laughing.
Yeah, we can all relate to that. Now, if that's the case, it's still a good idea to try and reach them first on a one-on-one basis. If that doesn't work, you may need to bring in an outside person to try and help with it. If they don't want to change, in some cases it's better to just let them go so they don't poison the environment. And another thing we can do for ourselves, we want to maintain a peaceful working relationship, is just not react. Don't give that knee-jerk trigger react when they do something. Right. Just keep our own emotions in check and listen to what we're saying to ourselves in our head. Are we saying, he's a jerk, she shouldn't have done that, how can I make him change? Instead, change the conversation to, I wonder what's going on in that person's life that I don't know about that's making them feel this way.
Exactly.
There could be so many other things contributing to it, and we don't know.
Right.
We just assume that we know. So there's several different things that we can do.
And I wanted to make a point to share with you all. Patty's one of our speakers, and when she came to us, and took my class, Market Yourself as a Speaker, she said she wanted to do video.
Yeah.
And we talked about all the different ways of doing video. So if you go to her website or get onto her email list, she sends out a weekly or every other week video tip. That's just fabulous. It's beautifully done. And the other one thing I wanted to share was I was talking to her before we started the show, and I was asking her about, was she getting many speaking engagements through speaker services? And she said, yes, but some of them don't pay that well. But, and this is the point, but I'm getting corporate workshops from it, and they're paying lots and lots of money, and they're hiring her for a year. That's what we want you to do. We want you to get out and speak about your expertise, share it with the public, give them some tips and advice, and somebody in that audience will be attracted to your service. So go Speaker Services, go Dr. Patty Malone. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Yes, you see we have our audience here. Yeah.
Is there anything that you learned from your background in doing TV news that any tips you could give to people when they are trying to go out there and start talking about their business, if it's the first time, and they're kind of nervous about it? Or?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. Like going from TV to speaking is honestly completely different.
Really?
When it's kind of like this situation. When you're in the studio with a TV camera, that's all that's there. There's one or two people
and a
cueing
teleprompter.
you. Yeah. And so it's not the same as being in front of an audience. The first time I got in front of an audience, I was really scared. Also, the first time I got in front of the TV camera, I was really scared. When I saw that red light come on, I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody's watching.
Showtime.
Yeah. So it's actually different. But the best thing as far as speaking is just go out and do it. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. The more comfortable you get with it, the more prepared you are, the better you get at it. And just try and be authentic. Don't worry about being the perfect person or delivering the perfect speech or anything like that. Just be authentic. Be who you are. Speak from your heart and communicate what you really feel. And I think that makes a big difference.
Good advice.
Yeah. Well, we're going to a break now. We appreciate you being with us. You gave us a lot of wonderful tips. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Ashley Arnn, who's a licensed MFT, or marriage and family therapist, and the author of Passionate Texting. Well, that's going to be interesting to hear what she has to say. So we're coming to you from LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk, and this is Talk Up Your Biz, Speak Your Way to More Profits. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
If you believe, we will make it together. Planting a seed in my soul. Taking a stand and making a difference, ready to change the world that I see, 'cause I have a dream, true love is evergreen.
This is Brett Chapin.
And this is Dorothy Dillingham Blue, inviting you to join us every Saturday at noon Pacific Standard Time for our show, La La Land Talk.
Join us as we talk with some of the top talent in LA. Artists' untold stories, your phone calls, and live on-location broadcasts have made La La Land one of the best sources in LA for everything entertainment.
So don't forget to tune in to La La Land Talk.
Exclusively on latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com.
Saturdays at noon Pacific Time. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/LaLaLandTalk, Twitter, twitter.com/LaLaLandTalk. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk. I think we've got a Shakespeare monologue or two we could do. Yeah?
Jazz hands.
Kickball change. That's
Good
what
stuff.
I'm saying. Mm-hmm.
I'll do some Pippin.
Ooh, yeah. Some miming. I'm in a box. I'm in a box. I'm in a box.
My clothes ain't all fancy, and my car ain't brand new, but there is joy in my house.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid
And no one is insignificant who says it.
exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Today is my day, a brand new beginning. The future will.
Welcome back to Talk Up Your Biz at LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk. And in this segment, we're going to be talking to Ashley Arn. And Ashley is a licensed marriage and family therapist and author of Passionate Texting, which offers easy strategies to find love and make it last while maintaining a successful, flourishing career. So welcome, Ashley. We're glad to have you on the call today.
Thanks for having me.
Or not the call, seeing you live. I keep thinking we're on radio.
No, I think she's here.
She's here. And
it feels like I'm here.
Yeah, and Ashley and I have never met, but we've been talking over the phone, and she's one of our speakers and authors. And we met the other day at the event that I was talking about at Sales Coach Live 2013. And next week, she's going to be on the speakers community in a teleclass.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we've got her covered. Yeah.
So I can't wait to find out, what is passionate texting?
Well, my husband and I, Michael, we own the Arn Relationship Institute. And we co-wrote the product together. We co-wrote Passionate Texting. And it's a step-by-step guide of how to ignite the love and passion in your relationship, one text at a time. So what we found out was that through our relationship being awesome and being really busy professionals.
And with a new baby, too.
Yeah, we have a 9-month-old son, so he's amazing. So we have a lot going on all the time. So we had to come up with some simple strategies for keeping it together and staying connected in the middle of all this. So we decided that we really valued our text conversation. And it was something so simple and so quick. And it was a really good way for us to stay connected with each other in the midst of all these things that we have going on. So we decided to team up together and to co-author Passionate Texting.
So it's about staying in touch throughout the day by text?
Yeah.
Oh.
And staying in touch overall. It's so easy to get bombarded by everything that goes on in our life. And we have these conversations with our friends, our colleagues, our clients all the time who are complaining about their relationships. My partner does this, my partner does that. And it becomes such a source of stress. And especially as a professional, when you're stressed about your relationship, it's really hard to stay focused on your career. And then, your thoughts get overwhelmed by they did this, they did that. You can't get your stuff done. And then the next thing you know, you have even less time. So what we did was we wanted to create a product for people who are busy and give them an opportunity to stay connected to each other in very simple ways, because it's more about the quantity of the quality. I always mess those up. The quality of time that you spend with each other, not the quantity of time. So sending your partner an appreciative, loving text can make a difference completely in the way that you interact in a given day.
Yeah, or what you appreciate, or what you're grateful for, or just a quick. And I find I've resisted texting for a long time because I'm from a different generation. But now I like it because you don't have to call somebody and take the time to pick up the phone or use your cell phone, or even to send an email. You can just. And now with the smartphones, you can speak into the microphone. And if you've got it trained.
As long as Siri doesn't get it wrong.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But that's the huge benefit, is that it doesn't matter what's going on in your partner's day. You can text at a time that's convenient for you, and then that message is there waiting for them.
That's a beautiful thing. So what kind of packaging is it? Is it an ebook, or is it?
It's an online product.
Okay, so share that with us.
It's a compilation of audios, and then we also have everything in PDF form. So it's all downloadable.
So MP3s.
And what's your website? Where do they go?
It's crucialhabits.com.
Crucialhabits.com. Okay.
Yeah, and we have actually a sneak peek of one of the chapters for free, which is honeymoon texts. So in the online program, we walk you through 8 different types of texts that you can use to connect with your partner, and each one of the texts we give specific examples for people who just really need kind of a guideline. They want to know what to send now. They don't want to read through it all. They just give me something so I can just do it right now. But then, for people who become experts at it or who want to get creative with it, we also give them a step-by-step guideline of how to send their own text. So there's a combination of both.
So what's an example of, say, a really beginning text, like,
Okay, well, where we start at is the honeymoon text, and that's actually my favorite. If you think about it, in the beginning of a relationship, we all talk about the honeymoon phase, right? Where we're wearing rose-colored glasses. Everything our partner does is just amazing and beautiful and wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And then as time goes on, we start to not notice that. And our conversation and communication, especially when children are involved, really becomes about, hey, can you pick up the dry cleaning? Hey, what are we going to have for dinner? Or a lot of times, and people think this is a good way of staying connected, but it backfires. Saying something to your partner like, how's your day? Well, that's a great question for when you meet up together at the end of the day. Not such a great text question, because then what do you have to do? You have to think about how to respond to that. Right. And you're in the midst of something, and you may not have time to do that, and you don't have time to get creative or explain, this business meeting or whatever it may be. So, we talk a lot about how you can send an actual text that's going to have value and meaning and connection. So an example of a honeymoon text, and this is Michael and my example, because this is something that we always go back to. I absolutely hate to empty the cat box. Hate it. Hate it.
What?
To empty the cat box. We have cats.
Oh, the cat box.
Yeah, we have cats.
I thought cap.
No.
Okay.
So that's something that he does every day religiously. And I appreciate that so much. So it's so easy for me, when he walks out of the house in the morning and I notice he's done it, I just send him a really quick text like, hey, you have no idea how much it means to me that I never have to change the cat box, And then he's instantly validated. And that also empowers us to have a good day at work, to finish those projects, to not fill our headspace with worrying about fighting. So that's an example. But also, if you wanted to even take it deeper, bigger picture, something as simple as like, I really appreciate that you go to work for us every day and provide for our family. You're a wonderful husband and father.
So a lot of it's like finding positive aspects and positive messages, appreciation, right? And what else? Is there another kind of text?
Yes, there's some passion texts. Towards the end, now it stays PG, but it's a guidebook for if people do want to take their intimacy to the next level. It's just got some simple ideas for how to create that passion between you without getting gross. But, if people want to, they can too. But, so it just kind of gives an outline. So there's 8 different types of text. Some of them, one of the types of text is a romance text. So I remember there was a text that Michael had sent to me, and it was a detailed reminder of an amazing vacation that we had. And so it was totally romantic. It just put me back. We were in San Francisco. We stayed in this amazing hotel with a beautiful view of the city for one of our anniversaries. And he took me back to that moment with his words. And so then, of course, I couldn't wait to see him.
We won't ask how detailed.
Yeah. So something as simple as that. Or, another text that we talk about is relaxation texts. How to support your partner in relaxing with your words. And connection text. We forget to continue to learn about each other.
That's really important. Like you're having a really stressful day and you're getting text from somebody that is supporting, your like take a break or relax or
get a massage.
Yeah, reminding you.
Well, actually, our relaxation text is basically how to massage your partner with your words.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool.
Wow. So there's a lot of different types of text. We walk the person through how they can use the program to the best of their ability and go step by step. But also, we have many clients who are at certain phases in their relationship, and they just need 1 or 2 of the types of texts. So they can just jump straight to it. And that's the nice thing about the online program.
I think this is such a great example of creating a product and that you could sell online and you can get cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. But when you go out to speak, and I know you speak on different subjects, you can also bring that along. And have you found that people, when you talk about it, will order it when you're speaking?
Yes, definitely.
They can relate to it.
Yeah, and it involves no inventory.
That is what I love.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. Yes. I was telling somebody this weekend, no
Anytime.
more CDs, only MP3s
Right.
and PDFs. It changed our lives completely.
And they can have it instantly.
Instantly, yes. I
So
love
the
it.
second that they
Yeah.
purchase it, all the information comes to them right then. They can download it right
Set
in
up
that
on an
moment.
autoresponder. Way
Yep.
to go.
And they can text their orders to you?
No, they have to do it through the website, which is it can be found through Crucial Habits, or it can also be just passionatetexting.com.
Now, I notice you say this is really good for type A personalities, and then you talk about how if you're really concerned about your career, that this actually can help, your career skyrocket, right? So that, what's the relationship?
Well, the relationship is number one, and this is the main reason why Michael and I are so passionate about helping people with their relationships, because being together and being in a healthy relationship, I mean, before we were together, I had a string of terrible relationships, and who really can't say that, right?
Right.
I mean, we pretty much all can. So I found that by being with him, it has empowered me to take risks. It has empowered me to just advance in my career like I never thought possible, because I don't have to deal with that constant weight of my relationship sucks and I don't know what to do about it. It's amazing how little you can actually get done in a day when your head is so consumed by those thoughts. And especially as speakers and authors trying to prepare presentations or write content, we can't afford to waste that time.
Yeah, you talk about the 32-hour day, right?
Exactly. And it's all about managing your relationship in a positive way so that you set aside that quality time, which can be moments. It can be when you're on the same page, you don't have to do all that work. I can say to Michael, hey, babe, tonight I have this project that I need to finish. What can we do before I get started so we can connect? I don't have to explain to him at length, I have this, and I'm sorry about this, and what are we going to do about this? It saves us so much time because we're not wasting that time arguing.
Times have changed so much. It's amazing because we didn't grow up with texting. We didn't even grow up with computers, Noel and I, until, I got the first Mac computer. So, that was
Speak
in
for
the
yourself.
middle 80s.
I was going to say that just can't be possible.
Did you have a computer before 85?
Of course.
You did. You did not, did you? Really? No.
So,
well, okay, I see what your point is there. But this is not something we learned in school.
Right. No,
and
I will confess to
it's
that.
a different generation here. And it's so clever. I mean, this is such a perfect example how you've taken your expertise as an MFT and you use this in your practice. You use it when you're speaking. You created a product. You have a whole business right there.
Yeah,
and I just
absolutely.
love what you've done, and it's very, very current.
It's very cutting edge. Very
Yeah.
cutting edge. Yeah.
I really have to give Michael props on that because he's the one that pushed us in that direction. I was a little outdated when it came to the technology and everything.
That's a good partnership when the
Exactly.
other person can push you and knows a little bit more. Michael's in the studio. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, for creating that. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to jump into this, being inspired by hearing you talk, so they should go to your website and they should get set up there. But let's say that right now they just want to do a text to somebody. Like, what would you tell them, to somebody special in their life? What would you?
Well, my first thing would be along the lines of a honeymoon text, because that's always a very safe and comfortable place to start. If you really think about something small or something big that your partner does maybe on a daily basis, or something that's really meaningful to you. I mean, it could just be a simple one sentence, I really appreciate you.
Which is really going to surprise the other person, right?
Exactly. And then they're going to say, what did you read today?
Yeah.
What did you listen to today? And that's okay. That's,
where are you?
That's part of the, who told you to send that?
Yeah.
That's part of the process. But that's, it's just about picking something. And I've even, some days are tougher than others, right? You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you spill your coffee all over you have a flat tire. It's hard to think of something appreciative on those days. And, maybe it's something like, thank you so much for emptying the dishwasher before you left. I mean, it doesn't have to be heavy and intense or deep, but just acknowledging, like, I appreciate that you always make dinner for us. I mean,
I like that one. I'm already sending texts. I'm going to start sending texts because that's great. Because we say it to each other all the time, Jean Noel, Donna, and myself and my housemate. But I know that when somebody sends me either an email or a text, I light up.
Me too.
I start smiling. I feel so good. I feel so validated that they took the time to do that. And people don't appreciate each other enough. And they're not. We need to know that people feel grateful.
Yeah, and you asked me about how it helps professionally as well. Well, if you can foster these types of relationships with the people that you're connected to, and Ursula is amazing. One of the things that she talks about is having a core community of people that you're involved with.
That's right.
So sending a text message to a colleague, a referral partner. I usually consider people my friend. Once we've connected in the business world, we usually find things in common. The next thing our Starbucks meetings are 2-hour lunches. So, just sending somebody a thank you, and even if it's over text or email as well, but letting them know that you appreciated that maybe they reached out to someone for you, or just that they're supportive to you. And so these skills can really be used across the map, professionally, with other family members, and in all arenas of our life.
You're really onto something, because it seems like you've taken this thing, texting, and it's so powerful. And if we take it out of our everyday arena, everyday concept, and expand it like you are, it's really can turn a relationship around, right?
Yeah, and it's so simple.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint that I hear from my clients is, I don't have any time. And so with passionate texting, you really can't argue with that.
No, you always have time for that.
There's 2 minutes. And what I always say to people is, you don't have time to not invest time in your relationship, because it can be the biggest thorn in your side if you don't nurture it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flack about texting these days, with family members and kids texting their parents upstairs, downstairs, and they're not connecting with each other. So I think it would be interesting to take it to the kid and the adult level, the parent level too, and teach them the skills, because I think then the parents would feel more validated too, because the kids are just like sitting at the table texting as well. And, it'd be nice at least if they would send
There's a huge
an
market there.
appreciation text.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea.
I mean, instead, sitting at the table and saying, thank you, Mom, for making dinner, or Dad, for providing. I mean, that would make a huge difference. This is huge. This is so huge. You guys are really on to something.
And it's so amazing, because I don't know about you, but what I find is that when something is written, like if I'm having a rough day, I will save some text messages from my husband. I'll go back to them, as a little booster.
Oh, that's great.
And it's so nice to have something written that you can refer back to, and it feels more concrete. A lot of times we're so busy, we don't even hear something that someone says to us.
You're so right. Yeah. Put it in writing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're overwhelmed by emails, and we don't sometimes go back and read them, but texts are different.
Yeah.
It's shorter, it's simpler to...
Yeah, we're going to start texting more, but not everybody has my cell number. People tell me they try to text me, and it's my landline. So I'm going to have to start giving out my text my cell number, so people will send me a message. Well, you're going to get a message from me via text if I have your cell number. You're going to get one, and Nez is going to get one, and he's been smiling through the whole show. Our wonderful engineer, thank you. We appreciate you, but I'm going to put it in writing in text.
And don't think that it was a result of this show. I mean, it was totally spontaneous.
Yeah, wow, this has been really interesting, and every time that we do a show, we learn so much, and we get so inspired. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me.
Us. And if you guys want to find her, go to her website at
crucialhabits.com.
Right, and you can find her at speakerservices.com as well.
Crucialhabits.com.
And go to speakerservices.com, and you can find her there if you'd like her as a speaker. And next week, our guest will be Lucia Galiente Johnson. She's an expert in stress management and Reiki therapy.
And Michael Hinkson, who you may have seen on major media because he's blind, and he was in Tower 1 when the World Trade Center was attacked, and he was led down 78 flights of stairs by his guide dog.
Oh, my.
And so he'll be in studio with us next week.
No, he won't.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
He's in Northern
California. That's right.
California.
He's in Northern California, so he won't.
Yeah.
Right. But we're going to hear his story.
Right, and he's very inspiring also. And don't forget that next week we start the book beat 30 minutes after the show. And who's going to be on the book beat next week?
Next week we have Susan Goodson, and she has written a book called Letting Go of Shame, A Mother's Journey Raising Addict Children, and Janine Macklin. And her book is Let's Get You Happy First, 4 Steps to Get You to Your Happy. These are both clients of mine, and they've written groundbreaking books. I'm really looking forward to seeing them on the show.
Yeah, you're going to have 2 hours of us in a row on Mondays, if you can stand it, or you can listen to the replays. I also want to thank Lena Marquez for the beautiful music, The Seed, that you've been hearing throughout. That's another inspiring, awesome piece of music.
So thank you for joining us, and this is Talk Up Your Biz at LA Talk Live, where we are more than just talk.
We'll see you in May.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.